as
The
possible.
other thing with recording, I did record our initial conversation and I didn't delete it, but I was just informed that recording over Zoom, as faculty, I don't know if it violates our rights, but we had a couple recordings of interaction with students, and that violates our FERPA rule, so we had to delete it. But I didn't delete our original one, but I do have it if you want that one.
Oh, that would be great. Okay. Okay.
As long as
So
everyone
even if students give if they give consent to be recorded, that doesn't violate FERPA.
I don't even think we're allowed to record. I think it's a Zoom thing for the university.
Oh,
Our
wow.
office is not allowed to record any. You can take notes and get emails, but we're not allowed to record any students over Zoom.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Well,
Spend all the time at the school nursing.
Well, yeah, so that's good to know for future.
I don't know if it
we
applies
do
to you,
this.
and we can just get a waiver. Like we could create a waiver really quick and have them sign it saying they're going to be recorded, because we do that
Okay.
anyways for study abroad, because they might get captured pictures.
because I was just thinking this kind of recording will definitely be useful for the project partner when I go to sell them the idea.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, well, just so I can recap from what I took a few notes, and so that we can have it on recording, and then I could be corrected if I misunderstood. From the top of our conversation from Valerie, one of the things was one of the big goals and objectives from the community nursing course is to really understand community versus individual interventions. That is something that students don't really have a lot of experience with. Is that correct? Okay, and then
That's true. Yes.
yeah, and then you kind of like using the example of COVID-19 that even within the context of COVID-19, like contact tracing and things like that are done from a public health community type of perspective, and it would be great to see something like that. Another thing that we would like to be able to capture is the age demographics, because basically the curve is different from the US versus Africa, where there's a lot more older people versus younger people. So being able to see how demographics relate to health outcomes and having that age aspect in there as well. And then also just looking in terms of like the roles of like NGOs, what are NGOs versus like, what we have like as nonprofits and how they're funded and things like that, and looking at the role of the relationships between Muslims and Christians and how they peacefully collaborate. And then also looking at just more social issues like sexuality and norms, and how those differentiate between American versus like African, we'll just say in general, societies. And then also the role of students and children, and how they have just like various like responsibilities to like their parents and things like that. So those are just kind of, and then also looking at food. So I think like from what we've discussed so far, those are some of kind of like the big key points that I jotted notes down on.
And I was just thinking as you were talking, Sean, as you brought up, connecting this to COVID-19, and I know that we had talked about that in our first meeting, and I think that is a really good framework for all of these things. Like I think Val has done, as you said, a really great job sort of comprehensively thinking about social determinants of health. But I think one way to sort of frame it and focus it for the students is if they are thinking about this particular pandemic and what are the implications. So for example, like understanding food and food preparation in that culture, and and the fact that people go to the market every day, that not everyone has cold storage, that type of thing. So not only would they be understanding how Ghanaians eat and the diet, and they can think through some of the health implications of those things beyond COVID, but also what does that mean in terms of people getting out and about, and because I think that also helps. One of the many things that is valuable about this experience is not only do students learn about culture in West Africa, but it helps them sort of reflect back to what is happening at home. Like most of our students never think about trash collection until they get to Ghana and then see, open landfills, because trash collection is invisible to them. And most of them don't think about clean drinkable water coming through their taps until they get to a place where that's not the norm. You know what I mean? So
right.
So I think
this is great. Yeah. No, this is really helpful because it's really. Go ahead, Valerie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I want to support what Tina said and maybe add sanitation to the environmental sanitation to my list. And you know, this is a long list, and of course, I don't think we're going to do all of this. We have to pick and choose. But I am going to add sanitation.
it is really helpful in a brainstorming kind of way, though.
Yes,
so I'm
absolutely.
super glad that you did that.
Yeah. Can we go down? Well, if you mind scrolling down, like to the activities, I like to just kind of like, just because we are in a climate of COVID, and so there is still some limited movements. And so, Dom, I would love to get like your feedback on, because right now Togo is under, it was for until June, like a curfew, like everything is like from 8 p.m. until 5 a.m. And so 8 p.m. to 6 a.m., 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. And so we're hoping that by June that would be lifted. And so then we would be able to visit some of these facilities. And so are there any facilities on this list that you feel like we could definitely do, or that we could not do, so that we could just have like a sense of like, from these visits, what are the most doable?
Can you give me like the number? Like, are you talking about F?
Starting at GHI, like from G, yeah.
Okay. Well, I was thinking, even if I can go there, I can send my staff there for documentation. Once we have a clear idea of what we need from them, we can have their own staff record it and send it to me, which I can forward to you, at least to start.
Right, but let's look at the topics, because these are very, I just want to get a sense, because these are very like Ghana based, whatever. So like visiting a facility with orphan children or children who can't live with their family, is there a facility like that in Lome?
Yes, there is the one in Nagwe.
Okay, I think, and then a facility for elderly people.
That one will be, well, I know there is some at the hospital. So I need to make more research and make sure I have the people to talk to.
Okay, so that could be a question mark, and we can also maybe work with Robbie on that, because Robbie, she actually specializes in working with elderly people. Robbie is like our staff in Cape Coast, and she has her own foundation that actually focuses on working with elderly people. So that could be something that we could get content from Ghana on if we can't get that in Lome.
That would be, especially
no, we need a question mark on it.
That would
yeah.
be great. I love that, because I think the work that she's doing is incredible.
Yes, she's doing amazing work. So I think that would be a great piece to pull Robbie in on, for sure. And then I think the children and adolescents is for that. I'm not really sure about that. Are you talking about special needs children? Okay.
Okay.
Or
or children that. I'm also talking about like children with behavioral disorders. I know that there are some special hospitals, like you have the, what's it called? With the skin.
The leprosy?
Yes, the leprosy hospital. You have quite a large mental health hospital. If there's any way we could talk to nurses who work in those facilities about what that's like and how, and then if you have any special hospitals or special facilities for children with behavioral problems.
Okay.
So
I'm just seeing this document now, so.
So I know that in the Cape Coast area, last year we took the students to Baobab School, which is for street kids and
Perfect.
for families. I don't know if there's something like that. There's a Togolese version of that, sort of the kids there are learning cultural activities. They're schooled. It's really a vocational school.
Right.
But that,
Right.
maybe there's an.
I was saying, I'm just looking at the document right now. So if you can give me like maybe 48 hours, I can make initial contact and see what we can work with.
That's fine. All right, great. Okay, then we can do that then. So then but definitely a public school would be fine. Planned Parenthood, I'm not sure about. I think there'll be a question mark.
Although if you're able to take them to one of the health service clinics,
Okay.
they do tons of family planning stuff there. And
Okay, so it doesn't have to be Planned Parenthood, but it would just be family planning services in general.
Don't you remember that Planned Parenthood office in Cape Coast, just down the street from where the place was where all the students had their dormitory?
Yeah, I know exactly which Planned Parenthood like you're talking about. I'm just thinking of like, in terms of like mobility and being able, if we can actually, like, what things can we do and get content from in Ghana and what things that we can't. So if we can't get them in Ghana, like what would be the, alternative?
And you're not going to be in Cape Coast, right?
Right, exactly.
Got it. Okay.
I mean, I would really appreciate if possible.
If possible, it would be great. But I agree with Tina that any of the other clinics, especially seeing the midwives in action, that would be perfect. Yeah.
Awesome. Yes, and
let me scoop around and then get back to you with the options we can work with, and you can decide.
Perfect. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, well then, are there any other? I think this virtual Ghana outline is going to be our basis. So I think instead of so what are we at, like, with our date? So today we're on the 16th. Can we have 2 weeks to put something comprehensive together to talk to partners and to really get a very clear sense of who would be able to fill in these items, and then come back with you at the end of April with an outline and with actual partners that we would work with based on this list?
Sure.
I even think 2 weeks is Sean, I think we can even do it within the week though.
You think so?
Yeah,
I like to give more time than less, because I like to make sure. I like to make sure. I would, because like what I would like to submit is something that's as close to final as possible of what something would look like. And I don't believe that a week is enough time to do that. I believe that we can start the conversations and we can actually have something very close to final, like a draft program by the within 2 weeks.
Okay. I'll send everyone an updated version. While we were talking, I was kind of working on the document, so I'll send that out as soon as we finish our conversation. And
I think next week we can have just like a general update to see where we are, I think that would be good. But then I don't think we would expect something final by next week, but I think we could just have like a check-in to say, this is where we're at from our last conversation.
That's a good, that sounds great.
I think on my end, by next week, I should have an idea. I mean, I will have already spoken to most of the project partners we could work with, so I can present you for a list by next week, and then you can pick.
Okay.
Perfect.
Awesome. Sounds good. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much, Valerie and Tina and Will, for helping us really think through this process. I honestly, I was really pretty limited in my thinking, Valerie, I must say. This list has really helped open up a lot more opportunities to make it a richer experience. So this is great.
I'm glad it's been helpful, Sean. I really am.
It's really very helpful.
With you again. Yeah.
It's very, very helpful. Thank you so much for this.
I'd like to give an update to you guys on
Yes.
the emails to the students. I only just sent them out last night because I'm drinking from the fire hose, but I did immediately get back. First of all, I don't think all of the students have gotten the emails because I got back a bounce back message on a bunch of them, like some kind of weird error message. But some of, and Will and I are trying to sort that out, but some of them obviously did get the email because I got back 5 responses immediately from students saying, I'm definitely interested.
Oh, that's great. That's encouraging.
I got back a 6th student responded and said that she wasn't interested, but that if we went to Ghana in December, she definitely wanted to go. And I wrote her back and said, we won't be going to Ghana in December. I'm so sorry, but you know, and then she asked me some questions about what the format would be, what we were planning to do, and I sort of shared with her what we had talked about. And by the end of a round of a couple of emails, she's like, all right, you got me feeling really good about this. I'm definitely interested. So we have 6 now that said they're definitely interested. I just heard from a 7th student who said it was too expensive for a remote experience.
Okay.
In India before and didn't see how this could be anything, you know, like what she had done. And so I will write her back and, you know, talk with her a little bit more, but overall.
No, but I think that's great. I think that's good feedback too, because like we said, like with the pricing, we definitely want to make sure that it is something that is, you know, we don't want to make this another like issue of inclusivity that we're like excluding people, because like it is a virtual experience, so we should be able to include more people. So if we need to rethink the pricing, then, you know, we're definitely willing to do that. So, you know, like the price that we started out with is not something that I think is set in stone. I did want this to be a collaborative project. And I think that student feedback is extremely valuable for this. So I would love to get like, what would her price point be? I'm just curious to know what are her thoughts about a price point?
I could certainly ask her that. Her email starts off, it says, hello, I've read over the email regarding the Ghana study abroad trip remotely. I was excited and perhaps interested in doing this until I got down to the cost and fees. I understand there's a fee of $12.95, which is the program fee itself. I know that this would have also been included in the fees for the trip, but I really think that nearly $1,300 on top of having to pay tuition for the semester is a little much for a remote experience. What compelled me to study abroad once again were the memories and experiences that were made from going into a different country and being immersed in a new culture. When I had the joyous experience of going to India, I don't feel as if doing this remotely is even remarkably comparable. I'm deeply saddened that this opportunity was taken from us, along with the unexpectancies of the pandemic, but I do look forward to the day we get to return to normal and I will still get a chance to make a difference physically in someone's life, culture, and community.
Well, I'm hoping that this, I mean, especially if we're able to incorporate the partners and the aspects that, you know, have been outlined today, I really think that students will be surprised of the meaningful memories and communication that they'll be able to have with the counterparts. So, but I told them this is a pilot and this is like uncharted, so I can absolutely understand the, I think that's great feedback.
Well, I just have a question, maybe for William and maybe for you as well, Sean. Would it be possible to think about a trip in December?
From our end, yes. Yeah, from our end, we could definitely do a trip in December. I think that would really just depend on, your schedule and your recruiting and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something we're thinking about and considering, but at this point, we're trying to really be cautious moving forward with programs, and any programs we do create. You know, we want to. The nice thing about this is it's got a virtual option, so they can follow through with getting what they want out of it if they need to.
There's a lot of unknowns about.
There's just so many unknowns about travel. I think that the hope is that everything will return to normal by the fall, but we still don't
Yeah,
We
we
just
won't have
don't
a
know.
vaccine. We won't have herd immunity.
Mhm.
Probably
Yeah.
have rolling outbreaks
Well,
in the world.
let's just keep this in mind as a possibility then, in addition to this virtual program, which is our primary goal right now. I think in the back of our minds,
Yeah.
the potential for a trip in December could also be there.
Okay. Yeah, but
Um,
let's definitely get this like up and going though. I would love to see this
Right.
come to fruition, as you know, and then December could be like a backup plan, and you know, maybe there could be some kind of, you know, aspect where if students did end up signing on for this, you know, for like the summer, and then they decide that they wanted to go into summer, that the program fee would reflect what they've already paid, you know, something
Yeah.
along those
That's a
lines as
possibility.
well.
Yeah.
That's a
and
great
Tina,
idea.
you gave them until, you asked the RSVP or ASAP, but till Monday, right? Is that what you
Yeah.
gave them? I wonder if it'd be helpful to, you know, we could reach out again to any students that, you know, were on the border or ready to commit to do a like an info session, a virtual.
Yeah,
Think
Yeah,
that would be helpful, or
that's a great
I think
idea.
that's a great idea.
The other thought that came to me the other day too is that, you know, we had students that signed up for this when it was a more expensive experience, but we could, you know, put out the invitation more broadly to students, because this may open up possibilities for those that couldn't afford the whole, you know, $5,000-$6,000.
Mm-hmm. And I think having, you know, I really liked how you in your email said this is like a third of the cost, but really like breaking down like, you know, the cost prior and the cost today. I mean, taking out the flight and all of that, just seeing like what kind of savings that they're having. And they're still going to make relationships with people that they can build upon for the future as well. So,
Yeah, and they're still going to get their clinical hours.
and they're still going to get their clinical hours
Hey,
as
Tina,
well.
I think we had like 48 applications total for that program. So, I mean, I could always reach in and find those who even started an application or somehow
That's a
reached
great
out to us
idea.
with an interest. And
Yeah, that is a great idea. I
Yeah.
like that.
But I know
Yeah,
last week we were, I'm sorry, go ahead, Valerie.
Okay, I'd be happy to work with you also, William, on just talking with students about what this is shaping up to look like once we know more. And,
Absolutely. And yeah, so then I would just say, like, you know, like on our end, like we're definitely just, our goal is just to make this a successful program, and we really want to see it launch, you know, and so whatever we can do in terms of like, you know, cost and making sure that, you know, I know we were talking last week about like a maximum number, but maybe we want to think about like a minimum number, like what is a minimum number of students going to be
I wanted
to make
to ask
this,
that.
you know, feasible. And I think that, like, you know, most programs is 10 is a minimum. And I think we would still want to keep with that as like our minimum number to make this, because we do still need to support our partners. We still need to do the outreach and get it together. So 10 would be a minimum.
I need 10 students too to justify my role as faculty.
Would there be any possibility also of you know, dropping the price if there's a large number of students, like?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So we'll think about the cost. The price. I would love to hear from a student what they would put this value as. I mean, I know this is brand new for everyone. There's a lot of virtual experiences that are going out there, and our price is on the lower end of most of those experiences. But at the same time, I think that I don't even know how well students are how they're like taking up those other experiences that are out there as well, because this is, you know, different. Like there's all these virtual internships, for example, and things like that. And so maybe the industry as a whole needs to really think about what students value, what value students put
our
on.
Our College of Business we just launched virtual internship through an organization called CEA, and it's $1,200 for that, for the business students. And I think we got 12 that are signed up for that right now. That just happened last week.
I know. I was wondering, like, if we could just make it $1,200 round, but I will definitely reach out to that student and kind of probe, what she thinks is more reasonable, and also sort of, talk.
And I think we can even make it $11.99. Just because of the
I wouldn't
technology.
Sean, if I may, I think the price we have mentioned initially is fair price. However, what we could consider doing is based on number. If maybe we reach 30, 40, 50, there'll be a price break. And then maybe we can also consider some scholarship if possible. I think that we
absolutely
can do, but I don't think
absolutely.
That's a great idea.
I think we'll look into that, because if we get a critical mass, of 20 students or something, we could definitely scholarship a few students, the experience. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, I love that. The other thing too I was sitting here thinking about is the context, right? Like that we are approaching students about this virtual experience. All of these students right now are having a almost entirely virtual experience for their nursing education. And these are classes that have been just thrown online in the middle of a semester under a lot of duress. And everybody is doing the absolute best they can, but I'm sure the students are not seeing any of this as optimal. So they might have a little of that in their mind too.
Right. Yeah. Right, that's true. I mean, and we do have it's not a luxury, but we do have quite a bit of planning buffer in place from now in August to make this something that's not hastily thrown together. And so that will be a different situation for sure.
I want to think about that when I'm talking to students too. Oh, and the other thing that I wanted to add was that I did email our Associate Dean for Academics and our Big Dean and said, we're exploring this opportunity. Here's, what we had in mind. I attached your proposal that you had sent, Sean. And I said that the faculty, the International Center, and our NGO partner are all on board, and we're surveying the students, but I just want to make sure this is okay before we get much further down this road. And the Big Dean responded first very enthusiastically, very supportive. So, and then our Associate Dean chimed in as well. So so we're good to go on that end.
Well, that's good to know. Hopefully, so we'll just see. We'll put our best foot forward and see how it lands.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so, okay. So then, with that, I think we're good for today. So we'll check in again next week and just have a little bit more clarity. And then, by the end of the month, we'll have a full picture of what the program will look like, and we can start talking about, deadlines and things like that. I think at that point would be, a good idea.
And what occurs to me, Sean, is it might be easier to justify the cost also once students have an idea of what they'll actually be doing.
Exactly. That's my thought. Exactly. Dom and I were talking about this the other day too. I was like, I would not consciously be able to even recruit one person today and say, sign up without having provided them with a very clear program. And so my goal is really, we've had this conversation, now we need to just really have a program to present to them, have an info session, and then I feel like students will be more willing to make that investment.
Oh, that's really good feedback. So, and that's something I can include in my response to students too.
Yeah.
Because I've told them we're not asking for a commitment now. I just
No. I think just thinking off the cuff, if we were to have an info session first week May, we could give students maybe 30 days, first before we actually start going out to get the content, because we had our timeline that we would go get the content in June. If after that info session they have a clear understanding, give them a few weeks to say by June 1st, to commit to the program, would that be a reasonable?
Yeah. So
here's the thing I would say about that. I think that stop day is like May 7 this year. And what William and I used to do is we used to go into the PEDS class or the OB class, because I taught 7th semester students, and then recruit directly in those classes. And so if we can get it, we can have a final program as close to May 1 as possible.
Okay.
We can probably get the instructor to give us some screen time and be present for anybody who wants to stay, and do like one of those old style recruitment efforts, but on Zoom, on their Zoom class. So I think we want to get this as close to May 1 as possible.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'll reach out to the 7th semester and the accelerated students and see what we can do.
Okay. Sounds great.
I mean, with this outline we got today, I don't see why we can't get something ready by May 1st.
Okay.
No, definitely. Definitely by May 1st.
Yeah.
Before then, absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much. All right. Thanks for recording, Will.
Send you the
Thank
link
you.
soon.
Thanks. All right. Bye.
Bye.
There is a chance I get the recording link of maybe, not for today.
I'll get it. It takes about 10 minutes to convert, and then I'll to send it out.
Okay.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you very much. All right. Bye.